Good morning, everybody. So, I have got a project that I need to do today. I say project. Thunder. I say project, and it's really a fabrication project. And it's only a fabrication project because I don't have what I need. And what I need is I need a way to move the dumpster off the side of our house. It usually sits way over there, and that's where the garbage truck can get to it. And so I am in a position where I need to make something happen. Got a lovely Miss Chris, and she is saying this thing's got to get taken out tomorrow. The garbage truck picks it up tomorrow. So I've got to move it. So you're asking yourself, Keegan, what are you going to do? You don't have something with forks? You don't have some way to lift it? Currently, no, I don't. So we're going to build something. So here we go. All right, let me walk you through what we got going on. So you're like, hey, Keegan, you have a forklift. Why don't you fix your forklift? Because genuinely, I haven't had a chance to work on it yet. I have been just absolutely balls to the wall, doing what we can, making money where we can, and getting caught up on things. I also have Manuel Burnett's 3rd gen back there, and I got his 5-ton sitting there. Those got dropped off the other day. There's a build series coming on that, and some other trucks that are sitting here that are going to be pretty neat. But today's mission, I've got to move that dumpster, and I really need to pick those axles up and move them. So what are we going to do about it, you ask? Well, I have this, which is my 3rd gen. It's a Cummins, and it has a crack in the overdrive housing on the transmission. So if I hook a trailer to it and drive, and it's under load at all, and it gets up to temperature, it spews transmission fluid from it, which is a super fun adventure that everyone should be excited to be a part of. But I'm not, and maybe that's one of my main characteristic flaws. But anyway, we are going to get this truck in the shop, and we are going to fabricate. That's what we're going to call it, and we're going to get a way to fix this. So check this out. It never ends. All right, Razor to the rescue. All right, let's try this again. Good girl. That's what I'm talking about. But Keegan, that's not the right size battery for that Razor. Yeah, well, those shocks don't have springs on them, but that's not what this video is about. The other thing you may find yourself saying is, Keegan, what a big pile of junk. You never throw anything away. What the heck? Well, we're over here looking at pieces and parts for our project today. And so what I do know is I'm going to need essentially like a boom, if you will. I'm going to say almost like a tow truck. But I don't have any hydraulic stuff. I've got a porta power, but outside of that, I don't have anything for it. So I believe that right there is going to make a perfect boom for what we're trying to do. Not too long, but nice and thick. Sounds familiar. Anyway, all right, so here we go. Okay, it started raining its butt off. Shop's flooding, but fuck it, we ball. So, we got this gnarly piece of 3-inch tubing. It's roughly about 1/4 inch thick. I don't know if you can tell, but it's got this nasty kind of stuff on it. It's all on the surface. You grind it off, everything's beautiful. So what I'm gonna do is get this cleaned off, and I'm gonna try out this new wheel. I saw a thing about these on, I think, YouTube or something, and we're gonna see what they're about. They might work, they might not. I'll let you know in a second. So update, I don't know if you can tell. In all fairness to the wheel, I don't think that's what these are for. I think the video I saw, somebody was taking like off a new steel, that film that you get, that mill scale. It takes that off really, really nice. This stuff, not so much. We're gonna go with a traditional wheel and then clean it up with a flapper. All right, so water's gaining on us. You can see, cleaned it up decently. It ain't perfect, but neither is this project. So good enough for the girls I go out with. So what we've got here is tubing template. Down here in Texas anyway, these are very commonplace. People use them for making pot fence a lot and stuff like that. Some really cool trace marks here. Any good fabricator is going to have a Sharpie or soapstone if you're actually a fabricator, but sorry about that. Anyway, so what we do is we just come in here, and I'm going to make this part up because whatever, and we're just going to trace that all the way around there. I have a notcher. It just won't do this big a pipe, so we're going to trace that out, and we let that slam on our finger, and we got a perfect 90-degree cope on there. So we just got to cut that with a grinder. So I'm not a big fan of using a torch. I know a lot of people are going to be like, man, that's super weird, just use a torch. I have a torch. It's up over there, and it's hard to get to right now, and it's muddy. So what I do prefer to use is a cutoff wheel on a grinder. It's just a 4.5-inch wheel. So the thing is how do you cut a radius with this? So what I did is I came in and followed that line. You can see here, essentially, if you stare at it like that, and obviously you're going to clean this up with a grinder after the fact anyway, but if you follow that line to right about there, what we're literally going to do is we're going to do a drop cut there, and I'll just show you. Okay, first of all, these channel locks from Cobalt, usually these are real gimmicky and like cheap and stuff. Kind of freaking love them. I bought them, I was out of town on a job, and yeah. Anyway, so we cut that straight. We got to here. Focus. It looks a little janky, but you can see that that line goes to here. We got a little off course right here, but that's okay. We'll fill that with weld. Remember the project we're doing. So break that off. Break that off. Break that off. Now you've got the rough shape that you're looking for, and you just come in with a flap wheel and you clean it up and make it look pretty. Alright, so we came in with the flap wheel and got it cleaned up. Like I said, we went a little bit over there. Not a big deal. It's like a diagonal cut, so that'll fill with weld. What we're gonna do, or what we did, is we came in with this flap wheel. Now we cleaned it up and we went like this. Now the reason that I held that angle is that when you cope that pipe, if you think about it, you're trying to hold that other pipe like this. Now, if that other pipe is the same diameter as this one, you're going to get real close here where it gets to sitting like this. You're going to get to that thickness of the same pipe. So it is going to get thinner out to the edge of here. Now, I will probably come in and take a little bit more off of this. Obviously I have to do the bottom side of this joint, but what you do is you come in with this flap wheel at this angle, and you want to be very, very, very careful. Quick lesson in grinder, for those of you who don't know, you want to use, if we're looking at this grinder, you want to use from essentially 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock. That's your sweet spot. That's going to keep that sucker from kicking on you. You try to go backwards past midnight, that son of a bitch is going to kick you, and it's going to really have a possibility of hurting and or killing you. And as Ab says, not only will this kill you, it will hurt the entire time you are dying. Anyway, sorry. So what you want to do is you want to bring that taper out. Now, like I said, you want to use that 12 to 3. So in this instance, we're going to bring that down. We're still using 12 to 3. And we're going to try to keep it just like that. Same thing over here. And we're going to taper that out. But you do this correctly, and you've got a coked pipe joint, and you can take your time and finesse it as much as you want. Remember, take stuff off slow. Check it. There's no reason that you can't check that thing 50 times. But I want to say that this, shoot, it might still have the price tag on it. It doesn't. So this is you can just see 3.5. I would tell you where to get these, but they just have them at all of our local steel stores here in Texas. Land of the free, greatest country on earth. Anyway, I think this is like 15 bucks, 10 bucks, something like that. They're cheap, spring loaded, and makes things nice. Anyway, you can have all that and a grinder. You can get this done. All right, so finished product for that cope, and it should work out. Went and got this piece from outside. That will become our crossbar, which brings me to the design here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a pipe across from about there where the frame rail is. Go across like this, and then that's where that notch is gonna sit and go straight up out the back. And then we're gonna have a rectangular frame, one that follows the frame rail, one that follows the frame rail, and then a crossbar. That's gonna come up. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop down a piece and essentially build a collar that I can bolt and latch around the gooseneck ball to anchor this whole conglomeration in here. But I think with that pipe across the back and the ones along here, which I'll try to offset them slightly to where those pipes sit down in the channel to keep it from rocking, I think it'll work, and it'll stick out the back. And I've got a chain fall, and we'll hook it to the end. We'll weld a D-ring to it, and then we'll be able to lift stuff up. So again, crossbar, notch straight up, but we got to build our rectangular frame first. So here we go. Another fun thing about it, about these adapters, is that you'll see here, we're going to have to face that end off. We're going to have a straight cut to get our measurement from, and then cut it to length. So what you can do, because it's hard to get a straight line sometimes on these, is run that sucker out to the end, and then we get that to sit just like that, and we got our straight line all the way around. We'll trace that and then cut it with the bandsaw. Hey, so quickly, I am cutting pieces, getting this going together. And so for our main boom and our main pivot, we are going to use 3-inch. So I've got a piece of 3-inch there. That diagonal piece is gonna sit across the front. But these runners that run up this way, and then the crossbar here, we're gonna use 3-inch. So this is 3.5 OD, this is 3-inch OD. So the thing is that how are we gonna make a joint that goes from this size to that size? Well, we're gonna use the next size. We're gonna use that 3.5 joint and this template, and we're gonna set it on here. And it's gonna not be completely perfect, but we can always grind it to fit. But what we can do is we can get that curvature cut to it to where that sucker is gonna fall right in the center of that. And that's what we're looking for. And what we'll do is we'll take a straight edge and we'll find the dead center of that pipe, and we will mark it, and then we will go dead center of that, and then we'll go bring it around the other side, mark it dead center of that, and that'll get our curvature. So it's not perfect by any means, but it's a cheap way to do it, and it will work. So. All right, guys, I screwed up, and I'm gonna show you exactly what it is that I screwed up and how that you guys can keep an eye on it. Experienced fabricators probably been here, done this a million times, and probably don't make this mistake, but I am just some guy, so check it out. All right, so this is a runner, and so what we're gonna have is a cross pipe at the back, cross pipe at the front. Now that notch down there is done, nice and pretty, everything's good to go. It fits like a glove, love that. So here's why I'm dumb, and I should have seen this coming, but this end has to coincide with that end, and they have to be orientated to where this is the degree in which the notch comes through. So you can see that that's obviously not the case because I wasn't paying attention, and that's what it wants to be. So what I did, luckily this piece isn't extremely critical on the length, so retraced it out, and I'm gonna have to recut it and re-notch it. So just something to keep an eye out for, and you know, just another tip. The other thing is that this tubing, I actually got all of this for free. There's a whole bunch of it, and you'll probably see it on a bunch more of my videos because I love using it because it's nice and thick and it's really cool. But down here in Texas, we have these oil wells all over the place, and so like natural gas wells and stuff like that, and so a lot of them get abandoned and they're left over and stuff, and so people will clear out old lines and stuff like that. It might be old pipe fence, it might be all kinds of stuff. But so this pipe actually, a woman posted on Facebook Marketplace, and not Marketplace, I'm sorry, in our local community group on Facebook, and said, hey, I got all this scrap pipe, can somebody come pick it up? And I'm like, this guy can. And she's like, you can probably make money scrapping it. And I'm like, yeah, scrapping it. So I've made a bunch of stuff out of it, and it's been pretty cool. So I don't have a lot of money by any means. Sometimes I don't have any money, and we use what we got and what we can get for cheap. So I mean, it's pretty cool pipe. It just needs cleaned up sometimes, but fairly thick, and it's good for stuff. So if you're somebody who is looking for cheap solutions to stuff but also kind of the right way, you're going to want to check out more of my videos. Granted, when it comes to customer trucks and stuff like that, we go all out, but for my own stuff, especially for here around the ranch, I mean, why spend the money when you don't need to? So anyway, real quick, while we're on the topic of grinders, Harbor Freight brand, this thing has been amazing. I actually went and bought a quarter cable one, I think from like Tractor Supply, and it was more expensive, and I think it absolutely was like 5 minutes of runtime before I burned it up. So obviously I didn't get the extended protection plan on it and had to eat that cost. But anyway, some of y'all know your way around a grinder, and it's no big deal. You guys will note that I have taken the guard off of this thing, but it's also because I know what I'm doing. That's not to say that that's a super smart thing to do. I'm not some sort of expert. However, I have been running one of these for a very long time. So the thing is that when I was a real little kid, I think I was like 8 or 9, my dad taught me how to run a grinder. Anybody that's bought a grinder before, it's going to come with a handle. And for the record, this is to those young guys out there that might be watching these videos and don't know any better. So older guys, bear with me for a second. Use the handle if it makes you comfortable. Leave the guard on if it makes you comfortable. If you think that you can't operate it safely, or you think that you aren't super versed and know what you're doing, leave the safety stuff on it. There's nothing wrong with that. The thing is that I've been running one of these a really, really long time. A lot of years, over a decade. And so, Lord, it's almost been 2 decades. It has been 2 decades in a few years. Anyway, I know that it's dumb to take the guard off and use the handle. The handle is not dumb. It's more of a comfort thing, like you need it to fit in spaces and stuff like that. Honestly, doing the kind of stuff I'm doing here today, I just got used to not using one, but maybe you do use one. That's awesome. I'm happy for you. But when my dad taught me how to run one of these when I was a little kid, he set me up with safety glasses. You should absolutely wear safety glasses. You will not run one of these for long without seeing a video somewhere of somebody having one of these wheels explode in their face. And a lot of times it will literally just lodge itself in your face. But when my dad taught me how to use one of these, what he told me, and I will tell you, and I mean this very sincerely, this is not a joke, this will kill you 150%, and faster than you know what to do with. So the thing is that when it comes to safety with power tools of any kind, really, especially with a grinder, you need to take those things into consideration. Think about it. The thing is that if I'm cutting with this thing, if it's here and the sparks are going up this direction, essentially, my face is over here. And it's hard to see, but I am not in line if that blade wants to explode. That's not a guarantee that it's still not going to get me, but it's doing what you can. And even with safety glasses on, be conscious of that. A face shield is not a guarantee. None of this stuff is. All this stuff can be dangerous. But if you're smart and you're willing to protect yourself, because you, Av says it best, you are the softest thing in the shop, no matter what. That being said, you've got to protect yourself. So, do what you got to do. And if you want to use one of these, they're a great tool, amazing tool. Highly recommend learning how to use one safely. But do it safely. Absolutely. Because no matter what, we can all be hard asses. We can all be, rough and tumble men out here with gnashing our teeth with our red hot blood flowing through our veins. But at the end of the day, I don't want to see you get hurt. And I don't think most of us want to see anybody get hurt. So do what you got to do safely. And if you can do that, follow the rest of these tips if you want. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But if you do, hopefully you build something cool and you build something you're interested in. So, back to the video. All right, so this is the driver's side runner. We are making the passenger side runner. So, we've got a notch on both ends of this. And obviously, this isn't a high tolerance project, but let's say it was. How are we going to make this one exactly like that one? So we got our tape measure here, and we are going to go to the longest point of that notch, and we're going to measure down to this end, and it looks like 57 3/4. So again, not an insanely high tolerance project, so if it was, I would be doing this only slightly differently. When I say that, I mean like this. So what we do is we come in here and at 57 3/4, we're gonna make a line, and I like to go to both sides of tape. Now, the thing is that measurement is cool and good to have, but the thing is that anybody who's done any amount of tube notching knows that this isn't necessarily going to be your longest point. Your hard stop for these tubes is actually, if your notches are correct and they fit correctly, is going to be the bottom of this notch, essentially. There's all kinds of names for it. I call them notches. Some people call them copes. Some people call them fish mouths, but we don't talk about those people. So anyway, trying to do this one-handed. So a better way to do this, to show you guys, is we're going to go to the bottom of that notch, and we're just going to measure from the other way. That's better. So we see here that is 56 1/4, give or take. So that is going to be a lot more accurate for us than the top of that notch. Lord have mercy. Do you guys remember what that measurement was? 56 1/4? Bear with me. So at 56 1/4, we're going to make a line, and we got our line. Now, so that we don't screw up like the last one, we are going to mark the center line of our notch. So you can measure this if you want, but I've been doing this a while and I prefer to eyeball it. Tends to do me pretty okay. So we know that that's right there, is straight up and down. So we're going to go to this end, and we're going to draw a line. So now we know that this mark and that is the center of the bottom part of the throat of that notch. We have this that we can have be our longest point so that we can make it just like that one. Now, it's important to note, there are way better tools for doing this. There are digital degree finders. There are notchers that are amazing. I have a notcher that I use all the time. There's nothing wrong with using a notcher. This is just a little big for that style of notcher. It only really goes up to 2 inch. So if that is what you will decide to use, hell yeah, that's awesome. This is literally just this is the way I'm doing it, and for this particular project today. And maybe there's some tips and tricks in this. Maybe it's all really stupid and nobody should ever follow these instructions. That's a good possibility, honestly. But yeah, it's a good thing to keep in mind. So do bear in mind, everybody that's watching this going, holy crap, dude, what, why are you doing it that way? That's just the way I figured it out. I didn't go to school, I didn't take a class. Anyway, all right, so we've got everything cut for the rectangle. Quick tip, so I could grind that, and for the record, if this was something I actually cared about, I would be cleaning every inch of these pipes off and making them nice, but I don't. So, this is not exactly ideal for our ground. So, I've got this piece of scrap that I just cut off of that piece that I notched incorrectly. And we're just going to temporarily attach that to this pipe out of the way, and it will be grounded. So, if you can't find a perfect scenario for that, that's a good solution. All right, so we are going to check our joint, and by my eye, we've got a little bit of play, so I want to bring that end over to the driver's side slightly. And if this was a different kind of fit, we would have to worry about the second axis, but we don't, because it can just lay flat in the bed and be fine. But now we know we've got a true corner. We can tack it in multiple places to keep it from pivoting. We'll do the next fit up, and the next, and the next. All right, it's raining pretty hard, so hopefully you guys can hear me okay, but we've got the frame tacked in place. I popped it up on that pipe back there so I can slide it out, and we will finish weld it, especially the bottom, since it's gonna sit down. A, I don't wanna mess up the bed of the truck, but B, you wouldn't be able to get to that. So it's important to get it out now, weld it up, and then we can put it back in and start adding the rest of it. So, we've got it welded, and what we're going to do is, so that this shit won't sit against the bed and rust after we can't get access to it anymore because it's sitting on the bed. It's also worth noting these things are really, so that's the thing. Now, given a lot of advice on fabrication and cutting and stuff like that. Something I'm not going to speak on is welding. I haven't had welds break. Welded a lot of very critical stuff, from roll cages to suspension and things like that. But also never taken a welding class, or actually I took one in high school, I don't know if it counts. But worth noting that I don't brag about my welds, because at the end of the day they're gonna hold, but they're not the best, but they're the best when it counts. So that's a little bit tidbit of information, but we're gonna get this stuck in there and get our boom on. All right, so real quick, I don't know how well you guys can hear me, but got this piece of pipe and fits fairly snug around there, but we're gonna use this as our hinge. Now, it is a locking purpose, so it's not gonna be beautiful, but I'll show you what I'm gonna do. All right, so we got our piece of carrot here. We drilled a hole in it. We've got a bolt and 2 nuts. So the first nut is going to get welded on, and then I actually have a different bolt I think is going to work better, but that will ride in against that part of the wall and lock us in place. And because this isn't going to be like a trailer where it needs to pivot or move around, that should be just fine. So, anyway, for what it's worth, it's a great 8-volt. get it welded on and we'll get it in. All right, so kind of gives you an idea of the design we're going for here. We'll have our D-ring up here and we can hang that down. And granted, I'm not trying to move the world with this thing. It's literally some axles and my dumpster. So anyway, that joint there is still loose. It's not welded. Everything's just kind of clamped in place. I have the neck adapter here and I'm notching it out and getting it to where it'll sit down on there and I can weld it to there and lock it in place. So yeah. All right, we got that thing in there. We're gonna get this tacked and start building our bracing. All right, we got that welded, so we're going to put support right here. And then we'll do some diagonal ones and get her all braced up, and should be time to test it, I think. Heck yeah. All right, so we've got her freestanding now. So now we need to add 2 diagonals and we should have our stability. It'll be time to weld a ring on the end of it and test it. And what would the video be without Jesse? Jesse, you've been up under an oil pan, I can tell. Ask me how I can tell. So, some of y'all probably don't know who Jesse is. Jesse is a goat that roams around the ranch here. And I'm gonna be real with you. I've seen this goat straight up drink coolant. I've seen him drink hydraulic fluid, all that. And try to keep him from it. Try to not allow that kind of stuff to be around. And this dude is mysterious. Honestly, I kind of think he might be an eternal being. So really, I mean, I'm just trying to learn what I can from Jesse. So, you know, Jesse's just vibing, and that's what he does. What he likes to really do is he likes to get up under trucks and stuff and like chew on wiring and brake lines and stuff. So it's kind of always just a mystery, but yeah. So this is done. Oh, and let's see. Hell yeah. Fits like crap, but we'll fill the gaps. I like it. Oh, that's much better. I'd rather fill a gap on the bottom anyway. Hell yeah. Sweet, we're in business. All right, are y'all ready to see this? Check this out. Let's go. Let me walk you through it. So we got a chain fall hoist. I had to kind of extend the D-ring C thing. It's like welded to shit, so that probably won't break off. We got our side supports. We've got our gooseneck ball lock in, which is where it's all coming from. And yeah, very important to remember, I don't plan on picking up a ton of weight, so hell yeah. I'm very excited about this. Let's go test it out. go? Dude. Well, it's pretty much exactly what I had in mind. And it lifted the dumpster up. And the truck doesn't even look like wicked squatted or anything. This really couldn't have gone any better. Pretty stoked on this. It's a little ghetto, but aren't we all? Anyway, guys, this has been a quick project with me, Keegan McNally with McNasty Off-Road. Like and subscribe for more. And yeah, I'm gonna go pick up more stuff.